can you play Mario Kart with voice commands? Mario Kart is one of the most accessible games on the market, and a large part of that is because of how easy it is to understand the controls. So, what if we kick that all to the curb, and instead we gave these games a shot using only voice controls? Now, while I do have some experience with these programs, I thought it would be best to bring along everyone's favorite sentient bell pepper with DougDoug. Besides, the two of us had a score to settle. When I first talked to Doug about doing voice commands, I suggested that we try out Voice Macro, since it's a program that doesn't charge extra money for using specific commands. However, if you're not familiar with Doug, he definitely has his loyalties to a program called VoiceBot, a paid app that he's used since the beginning.
Jump.
So, with all of that on the line, the competition was locked in, with me representing Voice Macro and DougDoug as the VoiceBot champion. And with the basic rules that we can start off with minimal controls and then add more in between races, we were ready to face off. So, let's start up the vocal warm-ups and kick off the challenge. Hey there folks, I'm Skip the Tutorial, and here we get to the bottom of gaming's weirdest challenges. Speaking of which, if it's your first time here, then put the pedal to the metal on that subscribe for more deep dives into your biggest questions. Now, even though Doug and I both have experience with voice control challenges, they're not exactly something you can master.
Ping? No!
And when we're trying to race each other, each program's problems become readily apparent, especially with the layouts of certain courses. Because Baby Park is going to be a whole lot easier than something where a wrong turn sends us right off the map. So, for that matter, here are the 7 toughest races that we took on in this run, ranked from Bell Pepper Mild to Mouth Burning Spicy. Number 7, Luigi's Circuit. Now, thank goodness this course is straightforward, because we definitely had our share of issues on the command side. In Doug's case, his turns were just too subtle to make him through the big sweeping loops at the end of the tracks. And because of that, he got stuck against walls for big chunks of time throughout the race, especially in lap 1.
Reverse. No. What's my command? Brake.
Left.
Brake. Come
Left.
on, VoiceBot. I need you to pull through.
Although, my commands didn't fare all too much better. For example, Voice Macro is very unforgiving if you say just one extra word in a would-be command line. So, if I don't announce my commands with big pads of silence between them...
Oh, well,
Left.
there goes our saving grace. Right.
Left. Item. Left.
Right.
then I'll miss out on most of my controls. And that threw me off course more than a couple times. And while the race did cut in my favor, I can only chalk that up to some surprise luck on my end, with plenty of easy to use items and a fortunate pacing on the hazards. Number 6.
What's this next one?
Peach Beach.
Sweet.
This race started off a bit weird. While navigating the menus between tracks was easy enough, my voice macro started to stall out in the second challenge. Doug did graciously give me time to correct my program, but it wasn't until after taking a 2-minute lead to almost snagging the first lap. It turns out Discord cannibalized the input from voice macro, so even though commands registered, they just didn't input into the game. I'd say that's a point in VoiceBot's category, if anyone's keeping score. But with our technical difficulties out of the way, we were ready to hop back into the race. Much to our benefit, VoiceBot wasn't ready to let Doug cheat.
Left. Right. Go.
Why is it not going? There we go. God, VoiceBot.
Right.
I had the opportunity to cheat so much there, and
Right.
VoiceBot's very honorable.
And it even held him back from taking the lead until it was damn near unnoticeable. And with that, the two of us were neck and neck heading into lap 2, which basically just meant driving in the water bunch. And really, the number of places you can fall off track in this map makes it particularly painful to drive through. Especially since, if we get stuck up against a wall, neither of us have any good commands to reverse out of it. And that meant us trading places over and over into round 3. And even though I pulled off a pretty sweet lightning bolt,
That was really good. That was really good.
it didn't come through in the end. And I got stuck on the detour while Doug took the win. Number 5, Sherbetland, with a few more command variations to help us set up our turns.
I believe that my Schweep and Troop are in wonderful condition.
This track opened up pretty decently, as I was able to find my way somehow into the top 4 as I entered the ice tunnel. Although I didn't hold it for too long, since even with light, medium, and strong turns at this point, I still ended up over and undershooting where I needed to be. Doug, on the other hand, was having issues throughout. In a surprise act of self-sabotage, VoiceBot only recognized his weird commands, meaning that all of the regular words that he used for turns and such were just risky plays and didn't work out. Plus, it didn't help that neither of our voice commands stop when hitting an obstacle, so we're stuck making bad decisions until the program runs its course. For Doug, this was really painful with some of the combo controls, like Zigzag Panic, as that locked him in a left-right nightmare until he was way off track. It's a course that requires a lot of specific turns on very low traction, and neither of us were ready to do that, especially not Doug's righty-tighty.
Ooh, too much righty-tighty.
boy.
Righty-tighty's way too much.
Number 4, Mushroom City. This track throws in exactly what we needed: moving traffic. Honestly, the number of hazards in this map makes it such a pain to navigate. For one, we can't react on a dime, so if we're barreling towards a bus, we have no choice but to hit it. Throw in some of the detour twists and turns throughout the map, and it's a wonder that Doug and I were even able to match up so close in this race.
Left.
Where did you come from? This is fine.
However, the big equalizer in our case has to be this pit right towards the end of the lap. With this drop, I fell in each and every time I got close. Even expecting it, I still couldn't find a way to get around it. It was just a tax for me to pay each time I passed it. Although, even with all of those falls, I was still in a much better position than DougDoug, who was pinballing each and every wall on the racetrack. And while I'd safely say this is the busiest stage we took on, the challenge really ramps up with number 3, Dry Desert. There's no real advice for this one. It's just a bad time through and through. Frankly, even after racing this course, I still don't know what we could have done better for the track. First of all, the hazards on this stage are surefires to throw us out of whack. The patches of dark sand in particular held me back too many times to count. Plus, the dust devils that we have to deal with toward the beginning have a good shot at messing up command timing. But if there's one surprise help in this track, it has to be the sand monster pit. With the Sarlacc, my first guess was just to avoid it, because clearly, an angry monster creature should be bad. But Doug quickly found out that this pit can be a real time saver if used properly, if instead of avoiding, we just drive straight in. Because in this case, Lakitu pulls us across and ends us up safely on the other end. It's counterintuitive, but it's a strategy that can really help us out, especially since trying to make turns with voice commands is never going to cut our way. Although, for this trick to work, you need to sail right into its mouth. Otherwise, you'll end up like Doug did here, and just have to slowly course correct back into the pit. It's a simple mistake, but the extra seconds that he lost here gave me the lead, and it's on to our last 2 races. Number 2, DK Mountain. To take on this map, we really need some solid turns. For all the half pipes and ramps that the stage gives us, it's critical to time the left and right inputs perfectly to stay on course. All the bumps that we have to deal with really make it tough to react on the fly, and it sent Doug and I tumbling over the edge a fair bit of times. However, by this point, VoiceBot started to get real temperamental with Doug.
All the time, so you got that in the
Weast!
bag.
Voice
Left.
Weast!
And the amount of commands that it let slip past started to get nuts. Take this one example from the mountaintop in lap 3, where the program wouldn't even take a basic right turn. But that's not to say my attempt went any better, because just like Mushroom City, I once again found my spot on the map where I would always fall in, every single time. And adding on to that, my dumb luck even let a chain chomp to throw me right off the bridge. But even with how bad this stage can get, I still wouldn't say it's the worst one we drove on, because that ticket has to go to number 1, Yoshi's Circuit. Kicking off with another set of Discord issues.
Go. Go.
This track was a pain from the get-go.
Man, sounds
So
like they have a
select.
lot of bugs over there in voice background.
But the part that probably hurts the most here has to be Lakitu. In the other tracks that we've raced on, he's been very forgiving to drag us up and back out of danger. But here, we don't get that luxury. If we fall in the water, then all that he gives us is a chance to fall in the exact same spot once again. That alone makes it a messy situation. And when we also have to drive along the subtleties of Yoshi's outline, then we're in for a rough ride. This was one of the last courses that we raced, but even with all the extra commands that we've added in by this time, neither of us could handle the stage. But for Doug, yeah, I think it's safe to say it wasn't his favorite course. While brash turns had worked out for him on other tracks like Peach Beach and Baby Park, none of them really did the trick on Yoshi's Island. and he fell in the water plenty of times.
No, Weast. I stopped. Voice pot.
Admittedly, I think the only way I skated past this one was because of all the different small turns that I'd added in several tracks prior. With that, I had just the right amount of mushrooms to push me past the finish line and give Voice Macro the first place spot. So, does that mean that my program's the bona fide champion? Well, not exactly, because Doug turned his luck around and then some when we tried out battle mode.
I might get you. Yes! That was beautiful! Oh, the
It was like
perfect,
a landmine.
the perfect snipe.
And I guess that makes us both winners in my eyes. And with that, folks, make sure to 4-wheel drive to this one in the top right to see us take on Glass Joe with voice commands, or boot up VoiceBot in the bottom right for one of Doug's videos. And if you want to support the channel and stay in the loop for new videos, then throw a red shell to the subscribe. But until then, take care, and you have a good one, alright?